What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at Elsewhere in Brooklyn, and today we are here with Kevin Mueller of the almighty Alluvial. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to have you here.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. This new album, Sarcoma, it came out last year, and I'm still jamming it like it was just released yesterday. Kick-ass album. Being that this was your first record with Alluvial, were you looking at like the deep longing for annihilation, being like, okay, this is how I have to sing, this is what's involved, or were you kind of given free range to kind of bring your own mix into Alluvial?
It was definitely an open, free-range thing. It was more like, it was one of those things where we wanted to attack it with just having like what's the word I'm even looking for is when like pronunciation. You want to hear it. It's an open freestyle where like I was able to just get in there and do exactly what I wanted. Like we were doing the song like the Putrid Sunrise. We didn't know what we wanted in terms of like having it be like a punky style or fast paced, but it just, my favorite vocal style is just loud and ferocious, but like not gurgly. You know what I mean? I want to be straight to the point, loud and crazy. Yeah. So it was cool. Like we didn't have to look at the previous album with anything because the last one was an instrumental. So it was just like not having to join and copy someone else's remedy or like recipe and try to like form my own around it. It's just like free range. It was great.
Which is incredible. And being, and I've discussed this with Wes last year, but like being that, Alluvial, I consider it a super group at this point, being that you've all played in a great amount of projects. Was it almost kind of like, do you feel like you're almost kind of like combining your resumes into one project, or was the goal for Alluvial to almost kind of like do something completely outside of the average comfort zone and step into new territory?
I think it's forever going to be a beautiful blend of all the things we've done. Like Tim was in Entheos, Wes was in The Faceless and Black Crown and all that other stuff, and I had Suffo and Pyrexia and Merciless Concept behind me, where it's like, forever we're going to be a fusion of all those styles. For the next, me and Wes keep talking about it right now, where it's like the next record is going to be dark. It's going to be darker and dirtier, but I like that with Sarcoma, we were able to hit you with a song like 40 or Sleepers or something like that had like a slow jam to it with backing vocals that are big and loud. And then we can hit you with like, again, Putrid, where it's like a thrash song about getting fucked up,
And you led me perfectly into the next question. You mentioned that you are sort of like toying with making some new music now. Is Sarcoma maybe a good representation of the direction Alluvial is going to go into from here on out? Or
absolutely.
Being that you have so many different elements, maybe you want to experiment even further?
I mean, it's that question is great only for the fact that I hope everyone else is thinking that way. You know what I mean? Like I want someone to pick up that album and be like, oh, this is all they're going to do. And then we hit you with more later. You know what I mean? We come from all different, not only bands that we've played have different styles, but the interests are different. Just the way driving here, we listen to like the Apocalypse Now soundtrack and Phil Collins and fucking all this other stuff. But like I come from just like the brutal slam stuff, and Wes will show me stuff that sounds like my stuff that I like. But when we sit in a room and write, our ideas are bouncing off each other in ways that we haven't ever had in previous bands. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for the future stuff to be, it's good. Like right now we're aiming for darker, but then who knows? The record after that could be a little lighter or a little like, we gave you everything in Sarcoma to make us unpredictable.
Okay. And was that like a preconceived idea? Like when you came into the songwriting for Sarcoma, was there like a preconceived idea, or was there a lot of like rolling the dice with a lot of the songwriting process?
I think in the beginning, like it was, Wes did, I want to say 90% of the writing of it for the lyrics and everything, and like the composing of the songs. But once I entered the studio with him, he heard my voice and he was like, all right, we might have to change the tuning of the guitars. All right, let's make this a little more mean. Let's make this a little different angle. Just to make it work better for all of us and our interests, Yeah.
And we touched upon this before too, but being that you have such a prolific resume between Suffocation, the Merciless Concept, Pyrexia, is it maybe like a different mind frame depending on the project you're in, or is there maybe like a certain method behind the madness, as I like to say, that applies to all your projects?
I like to think there's no rules at all. Like for the fact that if it sounds good in that part, I'm not bringing too much of like a choppy, brutal death metal sound in this, but like for some songs I can hit a slow, low part, gutturally part just for a second, just to give you like that small taste, and then go back to like loud, mid-range stuff, just screaming and stuff. I'm not really blending too much of like I'm not bringing too much brutal death metal into this. I'm just doing exactly how it feels when it feels right.
Mm-hmm. And as a vocalist, have you always needed to hear music to come up with lyrics, or could there ever be, because, you know, death metal in itself touches upon so many different subject matters. Do you sometimes have like a lyrical idea that could help maybe influence the music itself?
It could be really anything, like fucking watching a movie and just getting inspired by something, but like trying to like dig deep into your heart and find a problem and like vent it out too is another good way. That's just been the way I've ever written. But again, for this one, this was a lot of more like inner tales of all of our stories of life, I guess, you know, things we've come across. And like you said before, we're all super groups of bands that we've maybe had ups and downs in. And now we're in a band where we're all kind of like venting to each other and stuff, where even like the name Sarcoma is just, it is a medical type of cancer that eats you from the inside out. But it's like metaphorically for us, all these songs touch on like a level of cancers in our life that we want to get rid of. Shitty people, like bad relationships, and fucking, you know, depression, and how to cope and stuff. And that's kind of where this whole album went with that.
I kind of wanted your input on this, because what I've noticed about death metal is there is a diverse subject matter. Fear Factory sings about artificial intelligence. Nile sings about Egyptian mythology. Cannibal Corpse is a lyrical horror movie.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that, and I could be wrong, but I've noticed that a lot of death metal bands, especially like the OGs, they don't really touch upon like personal subject matter.
Yeah,
it's always
no.
like external subject matter.
Yeah.
Like, I was wondering, has there ever been a time where personal experiences could influence a song for you, whether it would be in Alluvial or Merciless Concept?
Oh, absolutely, dude. I mean, like you nailed a few just even in for us on Sarcoma. Like Exponent is all about AI. It's all about like AI knowing exactly what we're up to and how we've fucked up as humans, and the computer's going, yeah, we don't need you no more. You know what I mean? Like the first lyrics is show me all you've learned. So it's just like we're teaching the computer how we're so bad, you know? But then we have, I mean, for Merciless, I had a song where it sounds all brutal, and it was like, it's called This World. And it was a song just about my dad passing. So it was just like one of those things where I'm not saying like my dad died and I'm sad. It's more of like I hit like with vague sentences dancing around the theme, but it's more of like how to move on in this world, when really the lyrics sound like this world's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, but the message from me for me is like, all right, how do I persevere forward in this moment?
And it's really cool to hear you mention that. You know, as somebody who grew up as an emo kid, every song like the emo band sang about was personal in one way. But I've noticed, and I love death metal to a T, but like, you know, like I feel like I don't know Corpse Grinder from his lyrics. I don't know John Tardy from his lyrics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
we all know them from like really cool YouTube videos of them hanging out at bars and shows and stuff.
Yeah. So like I've always like wondered like if like death metal has ever like been at a personal like level, and to me, but
dude, I'm the weirdest person to ask for that, because I've always like some of my favorite bands are like Dying Fetus and shit. So like every song is just about like decimating bodies and going nuts, where it's like I guess it's really every band has their own approach, you know, where death metal could just be expressive, or it could just be a sound or a tone. You know what I mean? Like I'm a vocalist that listens to death metal, but like I'm more into the riff and the fucking, you know, I'm not really ever really studying other bands' lyrics unless there's something dark that I've touched upon. But I'm trying to even think of a song right now that I can be like, oh, those lyrics were insane. I know like even Whitechapel dances like hard on the subject of loss and moving on and stuff.
I feel like Phil Bozeman is like one of the most personable vocalists.
Yeah, but that's one of those examples, you know. But then you have other bands, like you said, even Corpse Grinder is just like, he just wants to get up there, and that's the product. He wants you to fucking see the horror movie, you know.
Definitely.
I love it.
Definitely. There was one question I wanted to ask actually about the Merciless Concept, because this year marks 10 years of Armageddon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I don't know if you were aware of that, and if I made you feel old.
Yeah, no, but you know what's even crazier is like Armageddon was a re-release of we had an EP. And it was American Scum, which is the song title of one of the songs off Armageddon, and that was even 2010, so it's even older.
Wow.
So it's just like, you really hit me with one now. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, like going back down memory lane, how would you say you've like evolved as an artist from them? Because, between 2010 or 2012, you've been in a lot of great projects since then, but I still think Armageddon is timeless. I think it's a great
Thanks,
underground hidden gem check out Armageddon by the Merciless Concept if you've missed out on that.
Man.
But like, what was the sort of mindset with the making of that album?
Kind of the same thing we're talking about here. Every song is like, I think I'll tell you right now, my lyrics on that are not good. in my opinion, where it was just like revenge lyrics, beat 'em up lyrics. The song Judgment was all just about like, go ahead, judge me, and then it's just, I'm not gonna fall to your shit, But yeah, we just wanted violent riffs on that one, dude. I can't believe it was 10 years now.
Yeah.
You actually just had a flashback. I talked about Fetus. We used to do like direct support shows for them up in Trick Shots in Clifton Park.
Oh, wow.
And that was even 2012, 2013. And do you remember? I don't know if you went out to those shows.
I was in high school in 2012. So
how old are you?
I just turned last week. I just turned 29.
Oh, okay. So we're not far off. I'm 31.
Okay.
I fell into like just such a weird time frame of metal because I was going to shows and I was going to anything that was at not the Paramount. Fucking Crazy Donkey was the venue in Farmingdale near us, and then growing up, I would go to Centuries VFW shows, and like there you could see either like crazy locals. We had a local called Severed Us. I don't know if anyone that's watching this is going to remember, but it was Dee Snider's son's hardcore band.
Wow. I didn't even know Dee Snider had a son.
They're all from Long Island. They covered We're Not Gonna Take It in a like deathcore, hardcore fashion. Back when pile-ups were a thing where the vocals would just do this and everyone would pile up. It was nuts. But yeah, dude, that's crazy. 10 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's nuts.
Yep. And do you feel like every project is almost like maybe expressing a different side of who you personally are in a way? Or
kind of. I mean, not. It's a tough one. I feel like I'm not opening up too much in the songs where I definitely talk about just like, being pissed off and stuff. I've used Merciless in the past as just like kind of an outlet and stuff, being that we really truthfully haven't written enough material to like really do a deep dive. Like we have Armageddon. We just put out Sessions of Pain just 2 years ago, or holy shit, is it 4 now? 20. Yeah, it was right before the pandemic. I think we put it out. So it's been even longer, but we re-recorded a lot of our demo stuff from 2012 on that one. And all of it is like, I think I was doing more concept lyrics with Merciless. I was doing like, I had a vision of like this alien beast that was trapped inside like a testing facility and broke free and is just getting revenge on everything that ever touched him, just decimating through.
I love those death metal concept albums though. Like some of those I think are the best. Like as a diehard Obscura fan, like concept albums and death metal. Yeah. I don't know, like it for me. I feel so intellectual listening to death metal concept albums. Yeah. Like I think of like Malignancy. But again, it's like I listen to Malignancy because they're more just like crazy tech death all over the place. And the vocal range that Dan has, it's nuts. And then like, I don't know, it's just like, but again, I've never looked at their lyrics. But I'm sure if you did, it's fucking madness. Called Crazy Concepts. It's like the cover of the album is like this tall alien just walking all around Earth and stuff. So I'm sure it's crazy. And when you were to sing with a band like Suffocation, for example, and you sing material that maybe you haven't written or stuff, do you maybe have like a different attachment to that when you're performing it in a way, or does it resonate with you in a different way? Suffo's a funny example just because, like, if anyone knows Frank Mullen, just the lyrics are just about death. Yeah. Thrones of Blood, Legion of Veracity, Effigy of the Forgotten, like all those songs are just like, gang, 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 I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like that's just all it is. But it's so fun, dude. Even like my favorite song that I would play with them would always be Legion of Veracity, just for the web. But I remember the day I got that gig, I remember texting Frank. I'm like, hey, can you text me the lyrics of this? Because like the internet doesn't seem to have it. Like like if you look up the lyrics for Legion of Veracity, there's like 7 bars of just nothing. Like little, like it gets the first lyrics, and then after that first like chorus part, it just doesn't. There's nothing. And I called him and I was like, texted him. I was like, hey, can you send me like what you have, like whether it's in a notebook or whatever? He's like, oh, there isn't any. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, there's no lyrics there. It's just sounds. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, well, the way we looked at it then is like Obituary was doing it, so we just started doing it too. We just want to sound like a monster. I was like,
all right.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah. And dude, and not one person has ever batted an eye at
And
those
that
songs.
song is
Yeah.
it's like dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like
And you'll hear it too if you like go listen to it. Like, it's just all that pattern is just sounds.
Jamie Josta said about that particular song, murder should be legal when that song comes on.
And I agree, dude. Fuck yeah.
And I have 2 more questions for you. But when it comes to, as somebody who's had the privilege of seeing you play live with multiple bands now, it's always a great time. Is there maybe a similar energy that you put into your live presence as you do when you are songwriting or writing lyrics? Or do you consider like songwriting being in the studio like a completely separate mind frame to playing in front of a crowd?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever thought of it like that. I think when we're in the studio, it's more like just focusing on perfecting it or like getting the tones right and things like that. But playing live, I become a monster where I just want to stomp and tell people to hit each other. That's my whole live mindset on that one. But yeah, I think in terms of focusing on live while in the studio, it's more of just knowing what's going to hit. I think that's the only way I perceive it, technically. You know, just knowing where the drops, where the what the progression of the song. Like, if a song's going on too long, you say like, all right, maybe there needs to be a little juice here, little spark.
Because when I listen to a death metal album or when I see a death metal band live, it's just equally in your face. But I know like a studio could be a very static and confined environment. Like
the only thing I could say that's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like I'm an excited little kid in the studio because like you're just watching something that's a demo idea that turns into a bigger concept where like come on in, you can come in. You can move around. Yeah. You're good. What's it called? So like for example, when we were doing 40 Stories, that song was supposed to be an instrumental that didn't have any lyrics on it, and Sugar Paper on the album, which is the instrumental, had lyrics. So we were attacking it, and it was one of those moments where we didn't get that like punch in the gut of excitement, like, let's sit on this for a little longer. And we flew back to the studio and did 40, and tracking it, we were all like, this is cool. This is going to be a good song. And then John Douglas is helping us put all the effects in it and make it sound bigger and broader. And like me and Wes are just looking at each other like, oh God, like this is massive, So that energy, I guess that's the feeling of the energy that I'd get live, of just being like, oh, because, when we do play 40 together, me and him to get those moments where we look at each other on stage like, oh, and it brings me right back to the studio.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So before we go, the final question I wanted to ask you, I love to nerd out on this, and I don't ask it often, but as somebody who I see at pretty much every death metal show in New York City, we always nerd out. What are some of the most recent death metal albums that you're into lately that you want to plug? Any underground gems that you want to shout out? I
mean, Fetus just dropped one of the hardest songs in the last decade. What is it even called? Where's my phone? It's something for Cruelty. Yeah. I can't do them dirty. I have to look at the name of the song here.
Cheating over here.
I'm cheating, dude. It's fine. Dude, I'm such the guy that goes, this is good, and I just put it on, and I just let it rip.
I didn't look at Metal Archives once throughout this
interview. There you go. Compulsion for Cruelty, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like, I know those dudes enough where, like, I was hanging out with them after the show, and it was just like, they're the sweetest dudes. Like, just drinking wine with Beasley and hanging out and just, like, talking to them like, yeah, it's playing nice for us. And then they're up there.
Well, that's what death metal is.
Fucking God.
I call death metal evil music for good people.
Dude, I've said this forever. It's like death metal dudes are the leftover hippies. That's all we had. Like, we're all like, everyone's long haired and chill and just wants to have fun and smoke weed and drink and vibe. Yeah. Let me take a look. Let me cheat on my Spotify here. Let's see.
You got the Sanguisugabog shirt.
I do have a Sanguisugabog shirt. Dude, Dragged by a Truck is like the hardest hitting song I've ever heard.
Oh, and those guys are hilarious.
Oh, they're great, dude. Shout out to Devin and all the boys.
Yeah. Did you listen to Ulcerate's album from 2 years ago, Staring to Death and Be Still?
No. Should I?
That is one of the best albums I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
Not just death metal.
Ulcerate. I'm gonna type it in right here.
Staring to Death and Be Still.
Yeah.
I can't stop listening to that album.
Okay.
It's 2 years old now.
Okay, fuck yeah, I'll check that out. Dude, I've been all over the place. Like, I feel like right now, death metal is not in a weak place, but it's not where it's strongest. You know what I mean? Like, I still just play, like, Gorguts Considered Dead, like, on repeat. I listen to, like, Defeated Sanity on repeat. I listen to, like, anything that makes me want to punch any stranger that's nearby.
What about Frozen Soul or Creeping Death?
I haven't got into that wave yet. Like Sanguine Sugabog is like my intro to the newer bands, and they got me, so I'm just staying there. You know what I mean? But like, I'm excited to see these dudes, Inoculations, on this tour. Shout out to those boys.
Yep.
And like, it's like the Maggot Stomp bands are very like that wave of bands that just kind of COVID hit, and then all these new bands showed up. I'm very down with it. you know,
and death metal too. Like there are bands that have been around for 20 years, but like I remember when Christian was on Summer Slaughter 2016.
I was touring with them. I wasn't in Suffo yet, but I was hanging out with them on the bus for like the first 2-3 weeks of that tour. Okay. That's how I know them.
People thought Christian was a new band at that time.
Oh my God,
like,
yeah.
so like,
it's crazy.
So it's funny how that all works out.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta do one scan here. I gotta say one new death metal band, right? I can't just be leaving you high and dry on that.
No, it's all good. I like the Radiohead reference with the high and dry. So
let's see, dude. Yeah, I'm like stuck in like, I dance between like new metal and all crazy, or like bands like Blood Simple. Anyone out there likes Blood Simple? I fuck with you.
What about Blood Incantation?
Blood Incantation, again, not really. It's not that they're. I haven't given it a fair listen. Okay. That's the best way I could say it. I've heard 1 or 2 songs, but I gotta literally like sit and like listen to the whole shebang. Dude, fuck, man, I gotta give you some. Shout out to Malevolence.
Oh, Malevolence.
Malevolence
awesome.
is so sick.
That was a great interview too.
The new Waking the Cadaver record.
Oh my God,
that hit me good.
It's amazing,
dude. They finally have like mastered their sick like live sound. That's what they've needed for years. They've never really had that like tight mint fucking shit hot production.
Oh, the new Fallujah.
New Fallujah. We just toured with them with Rivers of Nile in May to June. It was so sick to get them to watch them play that. Vomit Forth.
Vomit Forth, who just
Long Island, Connecticut boys. I didn't know Man Must Die was still playing.
Oh wow.
They put out like an album last year, and they put out some new songs, and they're sick as fuck. All right, I'm going to give you 2 more here. Let's see what goes on. Shout out to Soulfly's new record.
Oh yeah, Totem. Pick that up if you haven't already.
Yep, and Organectomy.
Organectomy is killer.
Yes.
I'm so glad to hear you reference it. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that band's it's like I've checked out their older stuff and it like dances around a bit more, where this new record was just like straight to the throat. Definitely. And I loved it.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. And do know that as you're looking, I'm going to probably edit the Jeopardy music as you're scrolling through death metal.
yeah. I like it.
Is there just anything else that you would like to plug for Alluvial after this tour with Revocation and Christian?
Sure. Absolutely. We're actually not going home after this tour, and we're going out with Animals as Leaders and Car Bomb. And we're going to be running that until I think about November 13th. We got some headlining shows in between this tour and that one, and on the tail end. January, we're going back out with Revocation with Goat Whore and Creeping Death.
Was that announced?
Yes, it's fully announced, so it's all safe. Yeah. We have talks of something for March. We'll see what happens, but if, our plan is if we don't continue just getting cool tour offers, we're just going to write, and we're going to hit you with some dark shit in the next few, say a couple 2-3, about 6. Yeah, in the middle of next year, we're going to start hitting you with some heavy stuff.
As somebody who's been jamming Sarcoma religiously, I'm looking forward to album number 3.
Hell yeah, dude.
And album number 2 with you.
Yeah, dude.
But Kevin, great to finally do an interview with you after years of running into each other at the pit. Everybody,
absolutely.
We are here with Kevin Mueller of Alluvial, Sarcoma. Pick it up if you haven't already. We'll see you next
time. I'm gonna plug one more thing. I stream on Twitch. Come hang out. Twitch.tv/KevMueller. Watch me yell at Call of Duty and fucking hate everything, and I listen to shit on there all the time. A lot of viewers will show me new songs and stuff, so that's another way I've been finding out about new shit. So
Call of Duty themed death metal band. Let's make that happen.
Oh shit, dropping in hot.
We'll see you next time, everybody.